Hi, I'm Krista Ross, CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce, and you're watching Business Insight Fredericton. Today, we're featuring businesses that are growing fast, and first up is Hotspot Parking. So tell me about your business, Phil, and your products.
We do parking, transit, taxi services for mid-sized municipalities. And what that means is like Toronto has a very different need than Fredericton, for example. What happens in a lot of infrastructure, like transportation, is they'll build something for Toronto and try to scale it down. We don't do that. We go the other way. We try to build something for a smaller organization and then basically grow up.
Tell me how the business got started.
So in 2013, I really wanted to be in business. So I dropped out of engineering in my last year of school, and I took my student loan, and then we bought the stickers to put on the meters in downtown Fredericton, and we just kept going from there.
So tell me a bit about the history of the business.
Basically, I went to a lecture at UMB's entrepreneurship school. I went to all the lectures because I was from PEI. So I came here, and they would have these lectures, and I would go to them all because I was like blown away that there was this type of thing happening. And I don't remember who he was, but he said, listen, if you want to start a business, just start with a problem and start working on it. So I was walking home and I had to walk through all the parking lots. I'm like, this is a big problem. Like, I'll just start working on this. And the next week I went to City Hall and they said, yeah, we're a university town. Let's work with university folks. And it just kind of evolved from there.
Tell me about the structure and your team and all that.
So by design, it's very hierarchical. And the reason behind that is someone has to make hard decisions. And I make the hard decisions because if it all goes bust, then it's my fault. So we have like 4 VPs that manage really the operations of the business. And the only time I really get involved is when there's a customer issue or a human resource issue. Those are really the only 2 places. It wasn't like that 2 years ago. But now, as our business has grown, that's a lot of what I do.
So tell me about the 4 sections that these VPs are managing.
So sales and kind of marketing is its own section. So the product department is our biggest section, so the VP of technology. And what he's done is built out a really robust product and make sure everything works. So our VP of sales and our VP of technology are like chicken and the egg. Like, one's trying to keep in front of the other, basically. We have customer success, which is really just like, we deal with a lot of cities. They're big customers. They have large processes. And then the 4th one is operations.
I know that Hotspot is parking, transit, and taxis, but what exactly does that mean? What do you actually do? What do you actually sell?
We sell literally operational convenience. And those are 2 big words. So there's one person running multi-million-dollar divisions of infrastructure. They're overwhelmed. There's digital solutions out there. So we build that relationship, we build that partnership, and we slowly help them digitize their organizations.
So what does a digital parking solution mean for a municipality?
Cost savings. If you didn't have parking meters, everybody would park on the street and no one would move. And then there's no place for anyone to park. When they put in the meters, it was actually to recoup the cost of the system. So we're going to put in these meters, force people to move every so often. There'll be spaces available. And the machines will pay for themselves. What's happened was that was like the 20s, right? Like 1920s. There's better ways to collect $2.
Who's your competition and do you worry about them?
You always do. We do a lot of municipal tenders and, like 60% of the time it goes to the lowest bidder. So what we try to do is focus on that 40% of the time. We've displaced our competition in markets that are, the mid-size. Anything less than 500,000 people, we thrive. And there's no excuse for us to lose in Canada in any of those markets. So in different places, we're working to get into the US, we're working to, really do some stuff internationally.
This episode is about fast-growing companies, and I'm interested in hearing more about your growth trajectory. You started with the city of Fredericton. Where are you now?
So in 2013, we were 1 city. End of 2014, we were 2 cities. And then 2015, we were 4 cities. Then we ran into some trouble, all personal. We made some bad decisions, tried to expand internationally a little too quickly. Didn't work out. We had to actually, start over with a whole new staff. So then in 2016, we really got going again. And we were able to double the business every year until 2020, whenever the pandemic hit. But we were actually able to continue to grow throughout the pandemic and maintain stable revenues.
What do you attribute that fast growth to?
100% focused on the customer, and no one believes that when you say it, because everyone's like, oh, that's the age-old answer. Tell us something new. There's nothing new. Nothing else works. Just do that. Like whatever your customer wants, build it, even if you're not certain 100% sold on it. Because if you build it and they trust you, they'll give you more opportunities.
How many clients is that? How many municipalities?
It's about 100. There's about 25 people upstairs above us. Our expectation is, we'd like to continue to grow, but we've hired a lot of people for a lot of different departments. Our goal now is to kind of slow down on the hiring a little bit and make sure that all the systems are optimal.
What do you attribute your success to?
Just persistence, like 100%. You choose where you put your energy, right? Like whatever you choose to spend your time on is who you become. And I chose to be really good at parking cars. That's what we're doing.
Tell me the impact that COVID had on your business.
So the day we realized that we were going to lock down, we got in a boardroom and we said, how do we survive? We trimmed what we could. We stopped doing some innovative stuff where we could. We kept all of our staff, and we actually ended up doubling the staff, because what happened was we focused on the customer. So they were having a lot of problems too. They were making money off the parking, and no one was parking. So we doubled down with them, focused on their customers, had a big opportunity to fix a lot of processes that they had basically not been able to fix in the past. But again, like all the success of your business comes from servicing your customers. Like there's no magic to it. I will say too that we got lucky. We had a lot of projects come on. We're launching like 10 cities in the next 30, 60 days. You
talked about how you serve your customers, but probably there are organizations that have served or supported you. What are the organizations that have helped you in your business?
Well, I think we should start with the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce, because I didn't know anyone, right? And when you move to a new place, like it was super hard. The university, I would say, was really good when I went through it. Now ONB and ACOA and IRAP are super helpful.
So what about professionals? Are they part of your team, like accountants, lawyers, financial folks, bankers?
Absolutely. We have what we call like our 20-year plan. If we had 200 people working here, what would all the positions be? And right now we will have, accountants, we'll have lawyers, external. But as we grow, we'll bring those people inside.
In the business, have you won any awards, had any commendations, recognition?
We've had some great ones. Like I recently won top 50 CEO, which is super nice. But we're very careful to make sure that we put them on a display case we don't see every day.
Today, we're speaking to fast-growing companies, and up next is Joel Richardson with Cook Aquaculture. Today's interview is taking place in the beautiful studio room at the Crown Plaza Lord Beaverbrook Hotel.
Cook Aquaculture actually got started 36 years ago. Glenn and his father Gifford and his brother Michael started Cook Aquaculture with 5,000 fish in one marine farm pen down in Charlotte County, and they basically grew the business over 36 years into a very large operation. We now operate in 10 different countries around the world, and we have 10,000 employees. Several thousand of them are here in Atlantic, Canada, and a few thousand of them are here in New Brunswick.
The base of operations is in?
Our head office for Cook there globally is down in Blacks Harbour. Our corporate global office for all of our other Cook operations is in Uptown St. John.
The company is global. How big is the footprint, and where exactly are you located?
So we actually have salmon farming operations, obviously, in Atlantic, Canada. We're the largest salmon farming company in North America. We farm in Maine in the United States. We farm in Washington State over on the West Coast. We have operations in Chile and Scotland. We have a large salmon farming there. And then in Spain, we have sea bass and sea bream farming, which is like a whitefish. We're both a farming company, a fish farming company, but we also have wild capture fisheries as well. So about 63% of our total operations is actually farm salmon, and then the rest of it would be wild capture. We have operations in Alaska. We have operations in New Bedford, Massachusetts, down in Suffolk, Virginia, in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Texas. We have a large shrimp farming operation in Honduras and Nicaragua. We have an office in Paris that does a lot of our sales for our True North seafood product as well. Over 100 different companies Cook has purchased over the last 36 years.
So how many employees do they have across the globe?
So we now have 10,000 employees all around the world. So the bulk of our operations are in North America, and then we have other divisions in Scotland and Spain and Honduras and Nicaragua, South America, Chile, Alaska. New Brunswick would be the epicenter for all of our operations. So a lot of our back office type work and professional jobs to manage all of our global operations, they're done from right here in New Brunswick.
So you've mentioned that Cook Aquaculture is a family business. What is the structure? What is the ownership of the business?
It remains 100% family owned. So Glenn and Michael and Gifford are equal owners of the company. It's completely a private, independent, family owned company.
Tell me about your growth and tell me how you managed to get such a growth trajectory in a short time.
We operate full-time year-round. We provide livelihoods for people. We have pensions. We have, bonuses. We offer good wages. And so putting that emphasis on our people has really helped us, from a global growth perspective. It's helped us retain talent. We have a very low turnover. And the Cook family are, as a result, are very loyal back to their employees.
Tell me what you think the forward growth trajectory looks like.
There's both an opportunity to grow the market base, but for us, we also want to grow within our supply chain and the way that we are vertically integrated. So we are very much a vertically integrated company, both forward and backward. So that, for us, that means we own our own trucking company, Shoreland Transport. Trucking, distribution, we manufacture our own salmon feed. All that adds to kind of a vertical integration component and helps us grow in those strategic areas.
Joel, what would you say is Cook Aquaculture's biggest success story?
I think that the greatest success that I would say as a family-owned local New Brunswick company is the fact that they've been able to maintain that local presence. It has really helped to develop rural coastal communities. Glenn and the family and the leadership team have taken that model and basically spun it out all over the world. I mean, we have operations in Chile. We've gone in and built schools for children that have no schools. Glenn actually went to Chile one time with our manager and was traveling through the countryside, and they went to one of the schools where the children of our employees were working, and they found out that the children actually had no chairs in this little shack of a school. Glenn actually funded the development of a brand new school, built the whole thing, all chairs, gave them backpacks. He found out that in this little community, there was one bicycle that all these children were sharing, and they'd take turns riding it to school. So Glenn actually bought them all bicycles. This stuff doesn't happen with large globally publicly traded companies. This stuff happens with New Brunswick family-owned companies who want to give back to the community.
When you are a global company owned by one family, there are always risks. Mm-hmm. What is the biggest risk that the company is facing right now?
Government uncertainty and government risk and policy and regulation is, I would say, probably one of the largest risks. The seafood industry is a very heavily regulated industry.
Tell me how COVID impacted Cook Aquaculture.
We were successfully able to weather the storm. Being able to do that and be able to protect all of the small companies that we support in our supply chain was a major priority. We also made sure that all of our people were protected. We never laid off one employee in COVID.
How do you feel about the economy and opportunities right here in New Brunswick?
I'm really optimistic about where New Brunswick is going right now. I do get a sense from people that they're starting to feel like we got to get on with this. We got to turn a corner. We got to get back to normal. Let's move on. Be cautious, but we got to move on.
So what about your industry specifically? Do you see the future is bright in the aquaculture industry?
When you see the uptick in the seafood demand growing, it grows about 5 to 8% a year. That's good steady growth for the seafood industry, and we'd like to continue to be part of it.
Tell me about some of the awards and commendations that the company has achieved.
A great honor for Cook to be the #1 growth company in Canada. It's an incredible recognition. Last year, we were named as one of the top 25 sustainable seafood companies in North America for all of our conservation efforts and sustainability initiatives. The other major thing that has been tremendous is this year was our 16th year in a row of being named as one of Canada's best managed companies by Deloitte.
Tell me what the plans are for the next year or 3 years or 5 years.
In New Brunswick, we plan to spend a couple $100 million over the next 4 to 5 years. So one of those major projects is in St. George. We're actually building a new processing plant in St. George, bolted on to our existing facility. It's going to create a lot of jobs. We have plans to build a significant freshwater hatchery down in Bayside in the Champlain Industrial Park. We've just built a big hatchery down in Penfield at a place called Johnson Lake. That was a $20-some million project. There's many different capital investment projects we have, and they're a major piece of our commitment to New Brunswick. We could grow anywhere in the world, but Glenn and the family are from New Brunswick, and they love New Brunswick, and they're committed to this region.
Welcome back to Business Insight Fredericton. I'm Krista Ross, CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce, your host. In this next segment, we'll be speaking to Mark McAllister, CEO of Verosource Solutions. How does it all work?
So we are a software development company, and we specialize in digital healthcare. And so we help governments and businesses transform and modernize their healthcare systems. And in New Brunswick, you might know us as the company that built MyHealthNB. So if you've got your vaccination record or your COVID test, you can access that digitally through our software. And we also have that same software running in Manitoba.
So how did the business get started?
I worked for a few companies over the years where I saw a lot of the back end of the healthcare system being built and a lot of money being invested. And yet I couldn't really get access to the help I needed for my children. Early 2010s, 2011, 2012, and we couldn't get access to help for one of my children. I get really frustrated, and I thought we can do better. We can get access to healthcare through digital means. And so in 2014, took the leap and started Verosource.
Where did the name Verosource come from?
So when we first started the company, we were building an app to help with wait times. And that was really where we started. And what we wanted to do was crowdsource the information about where the waits were and everything else. So we went out and actively pursued a patent for this idea about how to find truth in data. The word Vero actually means truth.
Do you have other owners? Do you have a board? How does it all work?
Over the last 7.5 or so years, we've really built a team of leaders and owners who are focused the same way I am, and that we're really excited to make a difference. We're all local in the New Brunswick, and I guess one in Ottawa as well area. And we have a fairly lean structure without any kind of outside investment, and we've bootstrapped and grown the company from the ground up.
So how many employees do you have now, and where are they all located?
As of today, we have 35 employees. We have several, actually most in the New Brunswick area. Here in downtown Fredericton is our head office. We have Northern New Brunswick, Southern New Brunswick, Moncton, PEI, Nova Scotia, and Ottawa.
Is it challenging to find top talent?
We're really fortunate to be in the Fredericton region where we have UNB as a feeder system. We have had phenomenal success with our new hires out of the UNB Computer Science program. As we grow outside of the province, what we found is our culture and our reputation has started to spread outside of Fredericton, and we're now starting to recruit. Actually, our first hire in Manitoba was this morning, so we're very excited about that reach that we're gaining.
How did you manage to land a big contract like Manitoba Health?
And when the pandemic hit, there was a rush, I guess, to find solutions to the problem that was getting people access to this information. And because we had started the company in 2014 and built our software and our skill set in that way, we were recognized at a national level.
Do you continue to look for clients, or is it more important to grow the piece of pie that you have from your current clients?
We are excited to expand our reach beyond New Brunswick and to continue to do that. We do a lot of work here, and we continue to grow in this space as well. But we are moving into the private space and into other provinces and jurisdictions.
Do you give a lot of thought to competition? And if so, who is your competition?
Most of our competitive companies that are out there are partner opportunities for us. We can go in and add value to a very large company's offering because of the way we can be nimble and iterative and quick, but we can also come in and partner with smaller companies and offer value there as well. This is a big space, digital health. There's a lot going on.
Where do you see your growth going from here?
Really, it depends on opportunity, and we are measuring our growth. We just went through the scale-up program with UNB, and we gained a lot of tools and insights into how to grow sustainably.
What do you attribute that growth to, especially that doubling of your employees in the past year? I mean, obviously COVID had an impact, but what do you attribute that to?
We were really ahead of the curve, I guess, in terms of digital health and citizen access. So we had put a lot of effort into building software and tools, and we were known as the company that was pushing that space. And when the pandemic hit, there was such a need, and there was pent-up demand for it that all happened at once. And we were able to grow our staff based on people who are already connected. So the referrals that we got, people who said, I want to come work here. We barely had to advertise for positions.
Tell me a bit about the corporate culture that you have here.
When we write software that people we know, family members and friends, people outside of the province as well, are impacted when we do things well. And people come here and they are interested in volunteering. We contribute to the Meals on Wheels program in the city. And it's amazing when we speak to people about coming to join. That's such a huge bonus.
So since you began in 2014, what would you consider to be Verosource's biggest success?
Well, just the impact we've made in the pandemic has been huge. We've actually had input that the software that we released when we did, which was really fast at the time, actually contributed to slowing the spread of the pandemic. To make an impact is huge for us.
So in every business, there are milestones in terms of sales, in terms of employment, and so on. Have you had any large sales milestones that you can tell us about?
This year, we were able to compete with some really large international companies in an RFP process, and we won a multi-year contract to put that into the middle of the healthcare system. So we're really excited about that.
Do you have issues that would be unique to your industry or unique to the work that you're doing?
When you give access to people to access their healthcare information, we need to make sure that we tick all those boxes. We take a great responsibility in that, and we spend a lot of resources on making sure we're compliant.
How do you feel about the economy and opportunities here in New Brunswick?
The economy, we think, is good. In terms of the broader global economy, we are seeing kind of ups and downs, but I don't think that the digital health space is going anywhere.
What kinds of goals do you have for the business?
Next, in the short term, is to continue to grow and to build outside of New Brunswick. We want to continue to build in New Brunswick as well. We want people in other provinces and other countries, when they think about digital health, we want them to think of our company name and to think that we can come in and help.
We're always looking for great companies with a unique story to feature on the show. If you have suggestions, please get in touch with us.